Well, in a week full of big surprises in terms of video game news, we had one that I never saw this coming. At least I'd hoped for it for a while, but I never really honestly thought it was going to happen. We had the Nintendo Direct video. You're sitting there going, yeah, more amiibos, more of this, more of that. Just Zelda's been put back. You know, Star Fox kind of sounds like we'll see, but surprises. They've always got a little something, something. You know, when I was there for Bravely Second, which super excited for, and then holy shit, here we go. Fatal Frame 5, in English kind of referred to as the Black-Haired Shrine Maiden, but I think the more literal translation is Fatal Frame 5, Oracle of the Sodden Raven. It's very focused on water this time around, and this was something that if you're a big survival horror fan like me, you desperately wanted, but people thought it's never coming to the West. It's already niche for being a Wii U exclusive. It's doubly niche for being one of the much less popular survival horror franchises. There's no way they're going to bring it over because there just won't be the money in it. But sure enough, it's been confirmed for a Western release. We've got no date yet, but it's happening. So you're probably asking, why is this douchebag on YouTube so goddamn excited? Well, how do I explain this? Fatal Frame is always standing out with each iteration, even the fourth one on the Wii, which wasn't that great, as something different from the other survival horrors. You want a character, be it man or woman, with a gun, fighting monsters, shooting monsters, and effectively surviving in a form of run and gun and know when to conserve your ammo sort of situation. You are, but not quite. I'll get to that in a bit. Basically, it's supernatural survival horror, and that is very rarely done right. A lot of the times it's booga booga boo haunted house. There's no subtlety to it. There's no nuance. There's no creeping dread. Or as Matsuhiro Ito, I think, said in the making of Silent Hill 2, you've got to disturb the player's heart deeply. You've got to shake them, not scare them. And it was the one supernatural series that really did it right. Silent Hill, I know that's technically supernatural. The first game is about a little girl's, waking nightmares overlapping themselves on reality. Her fears as a kid, nurses, bugs and stuff become reality, but that always felt still very, I don't want to say grounded, but you had shotguns and stuff, That's a very tactile way of dealing with them. Fatal Frame, on the other hand, deals with concepts like Shintoism, the idea of everything has a spirit, everything has a connection, a history impresses itself upon objects, which, if you've ever seen the film Ju-on the Grudge, it's kind of like that in the Fatal Frame series. Not quite, but kind of, where bad things have happened in a place, and they were so bad, they have burnt themselves onto the location like a supernatural scar on the land. There's just a taint that cannot be removed, and things there do not rest in peace. The atrocities that happened will echo, if that makes sense. They will happen again and again in some form or fashion, and most oftentimes these places are simply abandoned because it's simply no longer feasible to live there because shit's so mad crazy, dog, and you wouldn't. It's like the joke is when you watch a haunted house movie, just leave, get out, and hey, people did get out in the Fatal Frame series. Unfortunately, you always play the character, always a young woman, who has had the misfortune of going there many years after the fact, and the spirits are still there, and they're still not quite very happy with anybody who's trespassing on their land. So, how does it play? Well, instead of a gun, you have a camera called the Camera Obscura. Basically, you wait for the ghost to get closer and closer and closer, and then you snap a picture, and if you're good enough, you can get something called a zero shot, where when it's very close to you, you do critical damage, and you're capturing its soul on film. And again, I guess when you think about it, it is just, guns and ammo, but it's a camera and film. So you do need to conserve film as you would ammunition in Resident Evil or Silent Hill. However, this has something that has me very excited, and that is, it's still the same. And I know some people will be like, what, you mean it hasn't innovated? You mean we're out of ideas? No, what I mean is, look at every survival horror series, and I mean every one, and it's tried to become something different in later iterations. It's tried to become action movies. It's tried to become, you know, just completely different genres. Like, God, look at Dead Space 3, look at Resident Evil 6, look at all of the Silent Hills made by non-Team Silent. And I hate to sound like some fanboy, which, you know, with Silent Hill I totally am, but the point still stands. It's everyone who's, even if they haven't turned to shit, they're changed. They're not the same thing. You can go back and enjoy the others, but there will always be a sort of, you know, longing that this PlayStation 1 game kind of looks like Lego. I'd like to see something, you know, in modern technology. What could people do with new technology? And the closest we've gotten is Siren Blood Curse, and that sold abysmally. And we haven't heard anything from the Siren IP, and it looks like we probably never will, which is a sad thing to say. I'm just playing through Blood Curse right now, and it's great. But to draw a possibly long video short, Fatal Frame, however, has remained the same. It's got the creepy Shinto vibe. It's got the girls with the long black hair. I know there's an actual name for that in folklore. I can't remember it for the life of me. It's kept the spirit of the series as it should be, which, to my knowledge, and I've played a lot of survival horror games in my time, this is the only series that's done that. And because of that, it was so often assumed that the suits in marketing would say, this doesn't have wider market appeal, so we're not going to ship it to the West. And lo and behold, here's Nintendo saying, here you go, what could be the best survival horror game of this generation. You never know, because let's be honest, what else is on the pipeline? You know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. And here we are, Fatal Frame 5. Oracle of the Sodden Raven, the Black-Haired Tri-Maiden, the Raven-Haired Tri-Maiden, the Wet Crow Tri-Maiden, whatever name it's called, we're actually getting a true survival horror game from Japan coming to the West for the first time in a dog's age. And holy shit, am I excited. It's already a good time to be a Wii U owner with things like Bayonetta, well, Bayonetta 2, if you excuse the little flub there. But if you're a survival horror fan, particularly if you've never played a Fatal Frame, oh my god, it's time to be excited. And just for the record, if you haven't, if you've got a 360, get the original Xbox copy of Project Zero 2 Crimson Butterfly Director's Cut. It is the finest game in the series. A little easy, but in terms of ambiance and mood and lighting and level design, absolutely spectacular. So I'm just going to cut this video short because I ramble, you know I do. It's a very exciting little bit of news for survival horror fans out there. I know I'm not the only one, so oh my god, let's get excited for this.